Good morning, everybody, and welcome to What's Hot Now here at MarketStream.live, where we're going to cover what's going on here in the open. The bell has just rung. I am Joe Cusick from the Cusick Group, securities offered by MoneyBlock. Let's get into it right now. Taking a look at the markets, we see that the Dow Jones actually is up about 1 on the open. We have the Russell 2000 up 3. We have the NASDAQ mix. It's actually just in the green, now pulling back down about 4. And we have the S&P E-minis down up about 175, 1.75. So the markets seem to be a little bit muted, but there is a ton going on from a news standpoint. Basically, some might say, well, what's going on? Why aren't the markets trading more to either the upside or the downside with all the headlines? Well, I think right now what's happening is that we have analysis paralysis syndrome coming in. Not only just because of the news, but basically the broader considerations of whether or not the capital markets have moved too far, too fast post their election responses. Now, what are the things that we're going to be watching or that are coming across the tape? The first thing that I'm going to be watching after I go off the What's Hot Now is I'm going to watch the commentary from Fed Chairman Yellen. She's going to be testifying at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. In her pre-announced remarks, she basically said the Fed is really inclined to raise rates. As a matter of fact, if you look at the Fed funds tool from the CME, they're putting an 85% probability that they are going to raise rates into that meeting early in December. We talked about this in the overnight action. The Bank of Japan, they surprised investors. They came in with a fixed rate purchased operation that basically said that they're going to keep a lid on Japanese government bond yields, and Kuroda is going to do his Kuroda effect. The yen popped on that announcement. It's pulled back against the dollar, but still at higher levels than it's been over the last few sessions. Also in the UK, we had also talked about in the overnight report that they had stronger than expected October retail sales, up about 2%. That gives them a year-over-year retail sales of about 7.6%, which is about 2% higher than what were estimates for the year. Oil prices this morning up over 1.3% at right around 46.83 on the crude contract. Again, and then we talked about this, there's going to be renewed chatter on the OPEC meeting that's coming up on November 30th of whether or not they're going to be able to formalize some sort of production cap. Also, Chinese, they're again fixing the midpoint lower on the yuan for the 10th straight day. Walmart came in, reported some mixed third quarter results. Basically, we see that the stock right now, as I look at it, is down about 3%. Best Buy easily had its best quarter and best third quarter in a while and easily beat their estimates. Issued fourth quarter guidance that was well above what analysts were looking for. And right now the stock was up about 7%. Cisco, it topped its fiscal quarter expectations, but they issued a warning on the second quarter, which has the stock down. We saw that last night. We talked about that in Tech Talk last night, as well as the closing bell, down about 5%. Tesoro, ticker symbol TSO, they announced that they're going to be acquiring Western Refinery, WNR. It's about a $4.1 billion deal, or around $37.30 per share. It's got an option in there for WNR to receive either cash or stock. Now you'd say, wow, that's a lot of headlines, and there's probably more. You could talk about the shippers, you could talk about other earnings announcements, but wait, there is more. And this is not an infomercial. There is a string of economic data that we have to watch. This is going to start putting a real pulse on not only what the Fed's going to do, but it's also going to help shape the thought process around future policies that are coming out from the Trump administration. The CPI came out at 0.4%. So that was right in line with what expectations were. And right now we're not seeing that. We see that food and energy did rise about 0.1%. And so the total CPI is around 1.6%. That's the largest 12-month increase right now since October of 2014. Core CPI is up above that 2.1%. So what's the takeaway here? Inflation trend is moving towards that Fed target of 2%. They want that long run target to meet that long run target. I'm looking at the data right now as it's coming across. This is giving them the bullets, so to speak, to raise rates coming into December. So we're going to definitely listen to Fed Chairman Yellen's comments at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Taking a look at housing starts, we mentioned this last night. We wanted to keep an eye on it. They surged 25.5% at a seasonally adjusted rate of around 1.32 million. Building permits also rose about 0.3% to an annual rate of 1.22 million. This surge includes a solid, and I'm looking at this surge in starts really is a solid 10.7% increase on single families. And it's powered by a 68.8% increase in multiple unit dwellings. I'm seeing the headlines coming across right now. So that's very impressive in the housing sector. It looks like even though we're going to look at a higher interest rate market on the horizon potentially, there are starts. They're building the homes and the products are moving. Looking at initial claims, they're dropped down now at around 235,000, or a drop of around 19,000. We were looking for a number that was going to stay at or below 258,000. Well, we got it, and this is the lowest level that we've seen since basically the early 70s. Continuing claims also decreased by 66,000 to 1.97 million. This is the lowest level that we've seen since April of 2000. So there is a lot of upbeat employment data that just came out. And the key takeaway from this is with how the incredibly low initial claims and expectations for build in November employment report shows basically that we're seeing some growth, strong growth in the employment area, especially in the non-farm payrolls. We're going to keep an eye on that. And from a manufacturing perspective, we saw the Philly Fed index drop to about 7.6% to that level in November. The key takeaway right now in manufacturing activity is that there still is an expansion, and a state of expansion in play. Basically, anything above zero is going to give you denote expansion. So there's some encouraging data, both from an earnings front, from an economic front, and there's so much good news. And really that anticipation was built in. We saw the markets run post-election. So maybe we see that this has been priced into the market. And as we noted last night and in Tech Talk and in the last few sessions, you should expect that this market could get a little choppy here, maybe even see some initial response that's muted to this great information that has been coming across the tape. But you need to contemplate the next moves. Watch volatility. That's going to give you an indication of whether or not there's going to be an expectation of increased violent moves. But right now, a little bit muted, and we're going to keep our powder dry. We're going to keep an eye on the sectors that we bring up in both the overnight action as well as in Strategy Now, which is going to be at 1:30 Eastern Time. So join us then. We're going to talk more about what's going on. Have a great rest of the trading day, and we'll see you at 1:30 Eastern at Strategy Now.